it's a 3-foot sculpture of Jean-Claude Beaver shirtless riding a jet ski across Lake Geneva, and he's holding he's holding up what is effectively a deconstructed pocket watch just across his hands.
JCB, that's today's show title. JCB shirtless riding a jet ski. Greetings, welcome to this week's aBlogtoWatch Weekly. We are sans Ariel this morning, so we've replaced the mighty one with the slightly suspect two in Kevin and Matt. Two slightly asleep people from either side of the globe making up for one Ariel. How are we all, gentlemen? We've obviously got Ripley and David here this morning. If you're watching a video, you will see that. Do tune in. aBlogtoWatch Weekly live channel on YouTube. If you can't wait till Thursday or Friday for the recorded show on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to, you can go back to YouTube and get the full uncut version that's got little extras at the beginning and little extras at the end. We've already dealt with horological traumas. We will try and not traumatize anymore. Gents, fun facts of the week. What's the funnest thing you've done this week in watches, David?
Oh my god, that's a really good question. I've been editing pictures for reviews and stuff. I'm booked flights to freaking Geneva through Zurich, of course, because I'm traveling from the Maldives. No, I'm not. I'm like 700 kilometers away, but you of course have to transfer. So I will have a third flight that day to Copenhagen and then back from there the day after that. So 4 flights in 2 days. Hopefully it's worth it. We'll see.
Excellent. How was Zurich for eBay? You were just at that.
Munich was nice. It was great. You know, it's always a lot of fun to be around proper black belt watch dealers who attend the WTA. That happens once every 4 to 6 weeks in Munich, and it's basically a parallel universe because it's dealers among themselves. It's quite something. It's quite cool, and eBay wants to, you know, work with those dealers a little bit better, a little bit more closely, and create a platform that works for them. So fun discussions, cool watch stories of watches getting stolen and then be found, and then, you know, just a lot of stuff like that.
And what do you observe when you see dealers trading with each other? Like, do you just see what the margins really are in these things?
It's that it doesn't. It's a completely different thing because margins don't really come into the picture because they are among themselves. So it's I have a few acquaintances who have started you know, dealing with watches many years ago, and they have a little shop and whatever. And what I found is that at least for them, what happens is you invest some money and then you basically make a return on that. You make up that money once again. So once you're back at zero, you still have a bunch of watches in stock, and this creates this sort of sensation where you can trade whatever because everything is in a way for free, right? Which of course it isn't. You're not allowed to like lose a bunch of money everywhere. But the point I'm making is that dealers among themselves, it's a completely different thing. It's not about the money. It's more about the value that they assign to something, and whether they just want to get out of something. And then it's just like it will all work out. So it's a very different thing compared to going on Chrono24 or eBay and trying to find a watch that is $400 less than the other one. You know, it's a completely different thing.
And was there a watch that you saw there that surprised you? Something you wouldn't have expected to have seen?
I saw a very cool ground complication IWC that was also stolen, and yeah, there were some fun stories, but I think it's better if I don't share them. Yeah, but it was some fun stuff in the way that they could authenticate that was his watch, because it turned out that there might not have been records, and then it was very difficult to find whether the, you know, which movement goes with which case number, and then because, you know, these were different times when these watches were made. So anyway, the guy recovered his watch and all is well.
Does I'm beginning to have images of the Star Wars cantina full of scum and villainy. Is it pretty much like that? Yeah, okay.
Just much more Bavarian, you know, just like just imagine that thing, but in Bavaria. That's right.
Okay. Good. Ripley, your highlight of the watch week?
Went on a bike ride with Tudor.
Oh, so you did?
Yes, it was supposed to be 33 miles. Our wonderful guides, who I think are far more competent cyclers than myself, got a bit lost, so it ended up being 40 miles and change. I haven't been on a bike in years. I run regularly, but I haven't been on a bike in years. And but it all went well. All went well. I had a great time. I did not get to use these Tudor Cycling Edition FXD in action. That was my only regret from it, but it was wonderful to put on some absolutely skin tight outfits that were probably one size too small for me and go ride some bikes.
Pictures, please, Ripley.
I wasn't going to ask for pictures through fear of feeling like a weirdo, but Kevin Dyatt drove straight in there.
I've yet to clean them, but next week I think I'll have to put on the whole ensemble and sit a few feet back from the camera so you can get the full effect.
I was curious as to whether you were actually recording standing up, having cycled that sort of distance.
Well, the thing was, I'm just tall enough to use the smallest setting on the bigger of the seat varietals. So if I had said I was an inch shorter, all would have been well, but it was just the right size, and I don't have clip-in shoes or bring my own pedals, so it, I would have loved it to be about a half inch shorter, but it's a racing bike seat, which means there's zero padding. It's like made out of some hard carbon fiber ABS plastic, and the end isn't round. It's kind of like it was kind of like the Royal Oak bezel, and it's just for 40 miles, just right in there. It's like when the inside corners on a bracelet aren't beveled at all, and it's not bad, but over the course of like maybe a 3-week vacation or something, you're like, you know what, I'm in a little bit of pain right now. And that's exactly how I would describe a certain area between my legs by the end of the day.
It doesn't feel like this was going to encourage any journalist taking part, giving Tudor a good review.
Oh, glowing review for me.
Glorious review.
I had so much fun. So often we're talking about watches or doing something watch related, and it is so divorced from whatever the watch was intended for. We're having drinks and cocktails, and it's a dive watch, or it's a some burly, overtly utilitarian pilot's watch or something. We're not in the sky. Maybe we're at an air museum, but it was nice to go do the thing that the watch was made for, and get to see a bunch of people with a lot better cycling skills than myself.
So does it make you want to buy a bike?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have a helmet here now, and I've got the outfit. What am I going to do with that outfit otherwise?
I mean, without you might as well just give it away if you're not going to use it again.
Well, next Monday I'll have a new outfit to wear, but
good.
I can see you doing an OnlyFans page with your Lycra.
Hey, let's put it behind a paywall.
Exactly.
Yeah, I should have kept the medium, not the large top. It was a crop top. I misplayed this one. It would have been an awkward bike ride, but it would have come in handy.
Kevin, you two have been at a show. I don't know if A, Lycra was involved or B, cycling was involved. I'm guessing not with Watch Pro, but you never know.
Oh, Watch Pro, yes. The guys at Watch Pro, another fantastic event hosted by them. Yeah, it was great. The good and the not so good were there. Everybody in the watch industry was there.
Name the not so good.
I'll tell you who the good was. Davide Serrato of Berneron, my mate Davide was good. He did a Q&A with Rob Calder, and that was very well attended. And obviously they asked about the branding and going forward with Berneron, so see what happens next year. But
so
yeah,
give us the skinny.
The skinny is that there's more to come.
It's his toy, and he'll do what he likes with it, and you should all just sit down and sharp. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. But he's got the experience, he's got the knowledge, he's got the know-how to bring, not resurrect, but bring Berneron back into the forefront of everybody's minds in a good way, not in the bad way as everybody seems to think of at the moment.
Did they have any reflection on the receipt of the new launch at all? Did they have any kind of introspection of, I could have done it a bit differently, or was it very much just, it's my toy, I'm doing it this way?
No, he's taken on board what's been happening with and the comments, and there have been some tweaks on some of the fonts as well. I think he said certainly coming up.
More fonts, great.
Probably more standardized.
That's what we needed. That was what we.
But It was great. I mean, obviously, other brands were there. Studio Underdog was there. Yeah, it was great, and lots of champagne. I mean, what more do you want? Proper
Fair enough,
champagne.
fair enough.
It was good.
Matt, how's the hedge you've been sleeping in this week?
It's been fantastic. Yeah, I haven't been to any watch shows. I'm going to Hawaii this week,
Oh,
so
well.
Oh wow!
I get to decide if do I bring a GMT for a 2-hour time difference. I mean, what's the point? It's so silly. This watch thing is so silly.
What's the holiday watch of choice? Is it a holiday?
Yes, it's a holiday. I wish I had business there. Probably going to keep it simple and just a 3-hander, some mod, something to beat around. If it falls in the
Good
water,
stuff.
no big deal.
Who knows? Who knows and who cares? Right, well, let's get on and talk about some stuff in watches, because it's very much going to be one of those shows we're going to flick about a bit. I think I'll just begin here. If I can find the page. Here we go. Ridiculousness of the week. And I know it was for charity, but it's still an Omega Moon Swatch sold for 69,300 Swiss francs.
What?
All this means is someone needed to launder 69,000 Swiss francs, and there's a
That's
$300.
stupid. That's not how you do it. This is the whole point of this exercise is that you can then take it and sell it for what you paid for it for some other shady person. Not the point. Is like you take this watch anywhere. You've just lost 69,000 Swiss francs. It's literally worth 300.
David, you sound like an expert actually in laundering.
That's it.
Yeah.
Don't launder money this way, launder money that way.
How many times do I have to tell you how to do it? God damn it! And then you go and spend 70,000 on the Moon Swatch. My
It's all
first
about
auction.
car washes and tanning salons.
This is like my first auction. Well, I just keep showing the sign.
That's like, what happened if I
joke.
keep putting my hand up? If I put my hand up, the number goes up. Oh, look at that! That's fascinating. Okay,
I
so
have
it's
a
for
Uranus
charity.
for you for 100,000.
Wait, can we just unpack the title of this? Like, I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough coffee on the planet to get me here. Hold on. Coffee Omega X Swatch, a unique and historic 1/1,000th bioceramic quartz chronograph wristwatch with the seconds hand coated with Omega Moonshine Gold.
Well, forget the TM on the moonshine. Very important.
Forgive me. Okay.
It's literally one in a million. How is that a good thing?
Okay, so I'm asking this question. It's for charity, but is there a point at which you should just quietly give the money to charity and not do this? Is this one step beyond? Should you just say, if you're going to be charitable, just give the money to charity? Don't take the 300 quid Moon Swatch.
Don't forget, it does come with a plaque as well. So that's unique.
Oh, let's see
plaque.
the plaque.
You have to see the plaque.
Oh, a plaque with what? It's like one of those things you get for YouTube.
Oh, is there a
Yeah.
plaque?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
a plaque.
the
$69,000 plaque right there.
Love
Worth
it.
every penny.
Mission to Neptune. I wonder why it was the mission to Neptune. Like, rather insignificant planet. Sorry, Neptunites. But, you would have thought the moon one, perhaps, or the Earth one might have been slightly more
Wasn't that
relevant.
It's the special
that's
blue
coming.
one that rubs off
Rick,
on
don't
you.
worry, that's coming.
They just haven't got to the 1 million one. So there's been some other weird and wonderful auction stuff this week, because auctions right now are anything if they're not weird and wonderful. Commentary, a Roger Smith watch sold for, I think, less than what you would expect a Roger Smith watch to sell for. I think it was about 290,000. Almost sounds like a bargain. I mean, I suppose it depends on whether you actually like Roger Smith watches. I don't know. Roger's a great guy. The watches are marvelous. I don't like the look of them. I wouldn't wear one. Anything else observed from the world of auctions this week? Or it all passes by?
There was the highest paid independent watch was sold for $8 million US, I think, all in all. The Jean, second one made, yeah.
The second one made. So,
yeah, obviously.
So if you were to draw a line from number 2 watch at 8 million to number 1 millionth watch at 69,500, that's one of those weird charts that I would like to see. So
Well, then what is number one? What is number one worth if this is number two?
Well, Francois said he's not going to sell it. That's his own one. Obviously, he's kept it, so he's not going to sell it. But I'm sure
Coming
he's.
to auction near you in a year.
That's right. How do you know it's the second one?
I read it in an article. So, but obviously numbered, yeah.
Because us journalists have been shown to be real truth tellers. Every single one of us.
You do a lot of research.
No hype whatsoever. I only believe it if Periscope says it's true. Is frankly the only thing. Now, the other thing in the world of auctions this week has, I guess, been the end of an auction. Some would like to say the end of an era, but maybe it doesn't quite count as an era. But OnlyWatch has obviously managed to raise enough money and not spend enough of it that they've decided to stop the auctions altogether.
Really?
Yeah, having raised whatever they've raised, 100.
I raised this question like 2 or 3 years ago. The same question. Where is all this money going? And then years go by, and then actually,
money. We raised money. Forgot about that.
They said, hold on, it's very, very above board. It's so above board that we're not even going to tell you how above board it is until we can more adequately explain to you how above board it is, and then it closes its doors.
Yes. So
this is like this is the equivalent of the person saying, no, everything's fine, come back tomorrow. You come back tomorrow and the door's boarded shut.
Yeah. You wouldn't understand it if we told you, so we're not going to tell you because you're just not smart enough to understand what we do with all of this money. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be back. I think we'll probably just see this fade into obscurity unless they actually do manage to, solve the disease.
All of the pieces that were supposed to be for the final edition were either sold or cast into the fires of their respective manufacturers.
Not sure. Well, was I can't even remember. There was an auction recently, wasn't there? It did actually happen. The last one, so they cancelled it because I'm trying to think who complained first. Was it Audemars Piguet?
AP,
Somebody
yes.
I think it was. AP.
Somebody complained first or pulled out when people started asking questions like, "Where's all the money? Where's all the research? Why have we not cured this with 100, or at least made some progress? Why are you all directors of the company that you set up to manage the research?"
You could build a literal hospital from this money, like an actual hospital, a building with nurses and doctors in it.
More than that, like you could have built a hospital with just the results of the 1 year that the Grandmaster Chime sold. At this point, they should have probably more than just cured the disease. Like, they should have everyone in Europe should have, more robust healthcare. They should have cured a few other diseases. I also don't know the number of people who actually, because from what I write about watches. I'm not a medical professional, but from what I understand, the number of people or like the demographics affected by Duchenne's muscular dystrophy isn't like cancer or something like that. From what I understand, it's a much more narrow segment of the population. So it's not like there's even that many people that, if this did all go to the needy, it's not like there's even that many people. And it's been going on for quite a few years with auction results that realize 7 figures, 8 figures a watch. So that's a lot of money. That's more than building a hospital. That's like you can build a village of them.
There was somebody, I can't remember who it was, on some watch owner who's also talking about their charitable endeavors, and they're buying like scanners, like I think it might be an MRI scanner or whatever. And when you look at the charity, it's buying an MRI scanner for a canton in Switzerland, not like for a canton, for a hospital in remotest Mongolia that doesn't have an MRI scanner for 200 miles. They're buying an MRI scanner for the place down the road. It's all just a bit weird. I do wonder whether, I'll ask this question on the back of this article from Watch Pro. It's called Judge, Jury and Executor. It's Robin Swithenbank. And he's talking about GPHG and the self-selecting nature of GPHG, and whether you are now seeing not the worm turn is the wrong phrase, but whether you're starting, are we starting with all these things coming together? You know, GPHG getting a kicking, Only Watch closing down, the whole Patek Philippe Cubitus stuff going on, Moon swatches selling for 70 grand. Are we starting to see the implosion of the Swiss watch industry? Is this the beginning of the end of the beginning? Or is this just the way it always was, but there's now people like us talking about it? Gents?
There's only so long that these things can go on before it breaks the news. You know, there's so many developments over the last 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 sometimes, that we've seen. Okay, this is maybe not the right direction for watch media to go, where you start selling watches. Maybe, but we are not going to go out and say, hey people, you know, maybe you should pay closer attention. We just have to sit out and wait for people to realize, you know, that, you know, this is sketchy, or raising 130 million euros to cure an obscure something, you know, and not showing much for it at all over the course of a decade and more. And the list goes on. You know, all these auctions, all these crazy numbers for watches that, you know, no watch is worth $8 million. None of them, especially not something from what, you know, maybe the Marie Antoinette from Breguet or something like that. Okay, but other than that, all of this is just, you know, we know why these things happen the way that they do. And it's just very difficult to go out and say, because there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, there's a lot of things, a lot of lawyers, a lot of stuff, and we are not, you know, maybe we'll hint at some of these things, but it's extremely sketchy for us and dangerous to go out and say, like, this is bad. But sooner or later, and this is the answer to your question, right, these things break. You know, there's only so far that you can stretch these things. Like the awards, for example, how many consecutive years can you hold with a random selection of watches? If you go to the JP, at this point, it's like having a 40 kids' birthday at the same time. Like, everybody has to get something. You know, it's basically, if you look at the categories don't make sense. The nominations don't make any sense. And it's basically a quest to make every participant happy in one way or another, in one year or another. If you look at who's won, it's nuts, you know. So I understand Mr. Swittenbank's point to some extent. Good, yeah, it's good that it's out there.
Well, the appearance of the word itself is strange, slightly suggestive, and we won't unpack that here. The weird, like, baby fist on a podium thing. Okay, sure, that says watchmaking as much as anything else. But you know, I think the fact, you know, the pay to play sort of thing, where the brands have to pay to enter, not just, you know, volunteer themselves to enter, but pay to enter. It kind of skews the whole point of an awards process. Like, yeah, you should have to register. You know, that's how tournaments and stuff work. You don't register, you don't participate. But I think it's near impossible to have a discussion about best dive watch when some of the biggest names in the industry, like the Rolex Submariner, are notably absent from, you know, Rolex just doesn't participate in the GPHG. So, you know, it's sort of like it kind of loses meaning when you get to these more concise and, you know, rather transparent award titles like Best Dive Watch. And then you get these other ones like what is it, the Golden Lion or something d'Or or whatever, you know, where it's like, I don't even know what that means. So they're free to say whatever wins that for, you know, whatever kind of loose parameters they have in the description for it. But, you know, I just think, like, it's really, really hard to respect the award for the merit of just an award when some of the ones that would be on the obvious short list of entries just aren't even in the discussion.
That award is scary for those watching a Blog to Watch Weekly live on YouTube. That is a scary looking award. It's like, there's a film where somebody sink. Is it just Titanic? Where they sink below the water with the hand being the last thing to go. I'm not sure. It's
Maybe
bit
a zombie
weird.
movie.
Yeah, zombie movie.
Giving zombie.
Yeah, like the arm coming up from the grave type of thing. I can definitely see
I
that.
actually know it's Terminator.
Terminator, yeah. Arnie does it.
He
Yeah,
sinks into the, and then
goes with the thumbs up. Yeah.
thumbs up at the end. That's what we need. Okay, so that's our award. Our award is going to be a thumbs up. So if you were to design, let's design the ideal watch award. Like, how would you judge it? Would you have a panel of judges? Would it be a public vote? How would you decide who qualified? Anyone get any ideas? Let's workshop this right here, right now.
It's all gold. It's a 3-foot sculpture of Jean-Claude Beaver shirtless riding a jet ski across Lake Geneva, and he's holding he's holding up what is effectively a deconstructed pocket watch just across his hands.
JCB. That's today's show title. JCB shirtless riding.
I'm not sure I want
jet
that in my
ski.
living room, but sounds good.
If it was life size, you would.
Yeah, well, with his eyes lighting up.
Let's see what AI design studio
my
can do with
God.
that. So how would you qualify? Would you qualify, or would if we were? And there is a degree of seriousness about this. If we were to design our own watch awards, how would you award it? Would you just have this is the best watch of the year? Would you have categories?
Yeah, I think I would make it like a list of 5 watches, 5 best watches of the year, and I would leave out the categories and whatever else. It's like 5 noteworthy watches, or maybe at maximum like 10, but that's really stretching it, just to cater to like every price point and whatever, and just say like, because let's be honest, it's the watch industry is amazing, but it's a lot of the watches are compromising one way or another. Therefore, they can't be just the best. They are like a good compromise, maybe. But every year there's a couple, maybe half a dozen of watches that are like really, really, truly, genuinely groundbreaking or amazing or fantastic at what they do and whatever. If you look at the JPHG, there's like 15 or I just counted it, but I forgot, like 16 different categories. 16 categories. That means there are 16 best watches. And many of the categories you could just mix and match the watches. For some reason, there's like none of this makes any sense. So I would go for something like 6 or around 6 watches that are like the best watches from the year. Boom. That's it.
It's a weird one, because the other thing I don't understand about the GPHG is the watch that ultimately wins it can't have won its category. Surely the way to run the awards is everything wins its category, and then you take all the category winners and decide on the night which one of those watches is the best watch. But the watch that wins the award can't have won its category. It's weird. So it's not even considered to be the best watch in the category that it was entered.
This is why it's a kid's birthday. Everybody wins. It's a kid's sports day, I should say. Everybody wins.
Well, yeah, I think if you no longer know if you can't look at the watches and definitively tell what the category is, the categories are not defined enough. There's too many of them, but like, it's like when you're watching the Academy Awards and it's the awards get so specific where it's like best costume design in an animated short film with subtitles under 40 minutes of length, and you're like, I didn't know this was one. Or like Forbes 30 under 30. It used to be 30 people under 30 that were killing it. Now it's like 30 industries with 30 people in each industry, and you're like, wait, this is like 900 folks. Like, this means nothing now. Like, I have no idea what this is. So I feel like that's sort of it. Like, I'm so lost as far as like who actually wins what, that if they truncated it down to at least something more digestible, it would sort of weed out some of the nebulousness of like, what are we even voting for and on what merit? Because none of these here would be the best, whatever this Golden Lion or whatever that one award is. What is the actual title of that one? It's something d'Or.
The Aiguille d'Or.
Yeah, there we go.
Aguil.
There we go.
Okay.
And then even
The golden hen.
Petite Aiguille. I mean, you've just got to look at, Tudor has entered, therefore Tudor must win.
Oh, they always win. Tudor always win. Unfortunately.
It's just a bit bizarre. So how do you stop, like, would an ideal award only deal with watches that were released this year, or would it just be all watches that are currently available for new? In other words, how do you solve a problem like Rolex? So how do you solve the Submariner or the Daytona, if there's any degree of public involved, just winning it? Like, how do you stop it being a pure popularity contest? Because we've seen how well that's gone down in a certain country, just voting for popular people. We'll come on to that a bit later, because I know how you all love me talking about American politics. But how, or is it okay? Is it okay if each year it's Rolex that win with whatever new watch?
No. I mean, as far as I'm aware, Rolex deliberately do not enter any competitions.
Yeah,
So
but we're talking about we're
GPHG.
making them enter.
So, but I mean, Rolex only releases a new Submariner like once a decade. So, like the year the new sub comes out, they can have new best dive watch. But like the following year, if that model is literally identical to the previous year, and that sentence applies to the subsequent 9 years, then they're not eligible for it. I think it should just be the watches that come out. So maybe Rolex will clean up and take an award or two each year, but Rolex's catalog progresses so slowly. I don't think they're just going to be walking home with every category each time. Certain watches they don't even make.
So it should only be new current production watches released in a calendar year or whatever annual period, as opposed to what? See, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it shouldn't be watches that are available for sale new from an AD, so that you were looking, because I think your idea of noteworthy watches is an interesting spin. It's not the best, like that's not. It's what is a noteworthy watch? Because it might not be the best thing, but it's not.
How do you classify best? There might be a stunning Grubel Forsey at $400,000, and then there might be something that's like really, really great at $3,500, and like, what is best? At that point. But I think each can be noteworthy, and there's a case to be made for each watch that can be discussed against each other. Look what this one delivers for the price point. Look what this one does when price point is not at all a concern. And how do we discuss which one is making a bigger impact? What's moving the needle forward more. But yeah, I think noteworthy. I think best is too nebulous. Best picture is never going to be a comedy, or it's always going to be something serious that touches on some thematic social issue or something like that.
Inner angst.
Yeah, it's never going to be Hot Tub Time Machine taking home best picture at the Oscars,
which is a shame. I don't think it's I don't think it's that nebulous, because it's if you look at the Grubel Forsey at 400,000, sure, it's going to be a drool-worthy watch in the way that it's made, but it might not be the best $400,000 watch or the best in its category. Maybe it's like the 10th best, or maybe it's like a good execution, but nothing crazy in its own realm. While the $3,500 watch that you mentioned might be the best $3,500 watch ever. In which case, it beats the Grubel Forsey, even though it's much less expensive and much less elaborately made, right? So
you do have categories at a price point.
No, that's the point that you don't have it. I think Ripley's point was that, of course, there's a good chance that a $400,000 watch would always be the $3,500 watch. To which I'm saying is that it wouldn't, at least not in my mind, because if I look at a Grubel Forsey like the one we looked at the other week, that new chronograph at like some crazy money, that's one of the worst Grubel Forseys in a long, long time. Just because it's 400,000 and it's beautifully finished, it's not going to be the $3,500 watch if it's a great $3,500 watch.
Okay, so Joseph in the chat, I think, is challenging us to say that the categories are actually okay. Joseph, you can come back on the chat, tell us if that's a correct interpretation. Now, it just so happens there's 5 of us here, and the most noteworthy shortlist is 5 watches. So actually, let's do this right now. So, Matt, most noteworthy watch of the calendar year so far for you. What gets your vote? Quickly scrolls to aBlogtoWatch to see.
I would say the MB&F HM11, because I've always wanted a thermometer on my mechanical watch. I'm so glad to have that. I do. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with MB&F. Final
okay,
answer.
MB&F. I'm not sure it qualifies because I think this is last year, but I might be wrong.
Oh,
maybe there's a new iteration. Is this the HM?
It's on the 2024.
All right. Okay. There's a 2024 edition of this watch. So there we go. It is. It's not a looker. It's not a looker. David, what's your nomination for most noteworthy watch of the year so far?
It's definitely Sylvan's Berneron Mirage. 100%.
Robbed. I was gonna
Yes.
go for that.
Wonk wonk. You can still choose it.
Stolen. I suppose that means it wins. If two of us choose it, it's the winner.
Yes.
So there we go.
This
So
is the
there's
lamest democracy. It's like two people. It just takes two people to
You know, to be fair, it was on my short list too. You know, I think conceptually it really is doing something different. The fact that there's not a straight line on the whole piece, I think, is kind of using that as the guiding theme. That's so counter to what we see, whether it's vintage inspired, hyper modern. You know, it's a very unique piece. I think it's gotten a lot of attention and has made a big splash. So it's not like it's this cool thing shouting into the wind. Yeah, I would, if that won, I would be happy with that.
Yeah, so GPHG nominated Sylvan's watch. Do you think?
What do you mean GPHG nominated? Hold up.
Ripley nominated. Ripley and David nominated.
Yes.
But it's also in the GPHG. So the question is, can a watch like this win GPHG? Is a very limited edition but simple watch, not from a major brand, capable of bursting through the politics of a big award like GPHG.
If a big brand wins, then other big brands get mad. If all the big brands lose, then if you equally upset everybody, then it's all good.
Okay, so let's get on Polymarket right now. If betting on GPH, I wonder if there is a market in GPHG. I think it'd be considered inside trading. Who knows?
There definitely is. If you can bet on it, people are betting on it. Like that is just a fact.
Yeah. So Ripley, other than Sylvan's, your choice of noteworthiness for this year?
Oh God. The Cubitus, not for the watch itself, but we live in a very divided world, and in the watch community, rarely ever can we all agree on one thing. And I have never ever seen such a large percentage of the watch community all look to stand together and go, yeah, well, we don't see eye to eye on anything, but yeah, that's a terrible thing they put forward. So I think it's such a rare bizarre folly from Patek. I would say it's noteworthy for all the wrong reasons.
Well, is that good?
What's noteworthy, not best. So maybe that's what David's vernacular and best might have some merit. There's lots of things that are noteworthy because they are truly god awful. So we're noteworthy for all the wrong reasons because they managed to offend 4 different groups of people. So maybe not noteworthy. Let's go with best. I'll stick with Berneron.
Okay, so yeah, I think the Cubitus winning our first annual aBlogtoWatch most noteworthy watch would kill the contest on its birth.
It's noteworthy like a plane crash. This isn't like this isn't the happy news you want.
That's right. You remember where you were when it happened. Kevin, most noteworthy?
It's a tricky one because I love so many watches that have been released this year. Notably, Bulgari's Octo Finisto was the thinnest watch in the world until another one came along.
I saw that. What's the DJ Singers was wearing one?
Oh, he's wearing a Ferrari. Pharrell was wearing a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is strange that he wears that one when he has his own signature edition RM, that one with the spaceman.
Yeah. But I would say definitely, I'm going to stick to my original one, which we did a couple of weeks ago, which was the AP Remaster Edition. Even though it is flawed, I still think that's certainly a noteworthy watch. And to me, it's stunning. The material used, the design, harks back to the 70s. I think that's probably one for me.
Okay, yeah, there is a video on the aBlogtoWatch Weekly Live channel of the best watches of the year so far, so please go and tune into that. This gets my vote. In the spirit of Cubitus, this gets my vote. The NOMOS Tangente 2-date watch. as the most noteworthy because it's just, yeah, because you
Bonkers.
just need to bonkers. You just need to know the watch, the date in two different places on the same watch. It's very important. It's like a check. It's like, you know, when you turn the two keys in the nuclear missile launch, so one guy's got one key, one guy's got the other. You just need to check because maybe they've come out of sync. I don't know. So there you go. So
Wait, can you set the two dates independently on that Nomos?
Of course not.
Now that would be fun.
Yes, that would be hilarious. Oh, the date is broken on all my watches, so it would be fun to have one watch with two broken dates.
I mean, you could just show the entire. I mean, technically, it does. If you just painted all of it red around the outside, so that it was like it's that date somewhere, sometime.
Yes.
Well, if you can set them independently, you have twice the chances of picking up your watch and having it be the right date. So that's pretty good.
Do you have twice the chance?
Yeah, if you got two dates and you set them independently, yeah, you pick it up. There's 2 in 31 that you've got it correct.
Yeah. Well, I said I would cover this just because I know David was very keen because whenever he gets a media alert, it's just top of his list. So this is a media alert sent in from Louis Vuitton. It literally says, what's the title in the email? It's something really peculiar. Louis Vuitton celebrity announcement. It's like turning up to 11. It's not just a media alert. It is a celebrity announcement. So yeah, and it's clearly not an official thing because this is it. This is all that's in the immediate alert.
It's like the most voyeuristic unofficial photo. She's like riding in a golf cart trying to get from point A to point B. Not at all looking at the camera, like shot on someone's 2 generations old iPhone, as she drove past.
This is so below Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, I did actually have to count the number of fingers on Taylor Swift's hand just in case this was an AI picture.
AI would have done a much, much more cohesive picture than this.
Yeah, it does look quite Madame Tussauds.
Yes.
Is all I would say. It doesn't look like a real image. I don't really understand. But there we go. That was the celebrity.
Let's describe. So she's wearing a tambour in 18 karat yellow gold. So that's why the alert was that she's wearing a gold bracelet. Louis,
we make this
Louis Vuitton in Kansas City. I just shouldn't be in the same sentence coming from the house. I don't think so.
Okay, I not knowing Louis Vuitton or Kansas City, frankly, is this like the East End of Glasgow?
The middle, I mean, it's a great city, and the Power and Light District is fun, but it's not French luxury.
French luxury already doesn't scream. The word Kansas doesn't kind of seem. Can you make Kansas sound French? Can you put what a French accent? Not really. Kansas. No.
Kansas.
Actually, yeah, maybe.
Kansas.
I can't believe you're doing this. You're going to alienate so many Americans.
Maybe that's where
seriously, I mean, okay, so alienate so many Americans. I've got a new WhatsApp jingle.
Oh my goodness.
Would you like to hear it?
Yes. We should have kicked things off with this.
Yeah, I think it'll work. It's not actually giving me a play button. So let's see if we can find this. No, why is it not? There we go. Is it working now? Here we go.
This is the Bigly Best There Are None Better I Should Know Watch podcast. I'm from aBlogtoWatch Weekly. And you can now call them How Great Is That Didn't Happen Under Sleepy Joe? 1+4473866908797. Quite frankly, all other watch podcasts are just fake news.
There we go. The Donald himself has endorsed aBlogtoWatch Weekly. Can I say anything more? If it's good enough for the soon-to-be president again of the United States, oh, what have you done? Then it's good. It's good enough for us.
You know, when you upload something to YouTube, there's this little checkbox that you have to tick whether your content includes
AI.
If it includes somebody saying something that they themselves have not said, and now you have to tick.
I have to tick the box. It's a disaster.
Yes. The algorithm will scrutinize.
What will that do to our algorithm? It'll probably keep it broken.
When you guys
There
talk
we
about
go.
that, could have been anybody. That was Morgan Freeman right there telling us.
It's okay. Sleepy Joe will weigh in next week. I'm quite sure on what he thinks of the aBlogtoWatch. Just for, I did contemplate putting bagpipes in the background. Donald is Scottish, don't you know? He lives just down the road from here.
Did you write the text, Rick?
Did I write the text?
The text.
Yes, I may have done. Yeah, the problem is you can't. It's difficult to slow it down without it changing timbre. But there we go. There is. I'll try and find it. Aberdeen man wins election. See if I can find this image of Donald Trump. Give us 2 seconds. It's all very well trying to do this. Oh, there we go. This is from the Buchan Observer. If I can get the image up. So, yeah, this is what we think. This is, to be fair, this is actually from the last time it happened, but it's probably still quite relevant. So, Aberdeenshire business owner wins presidential election. So that's what we think of it over here with Mr. Trump owning golf courses, one not too very far away from me. What impact will it have on the watch? I mean, it's actually a genuine question. This is a genuine question. What impact will this have on the watch world? Because apparently it's tariffs all the way down now. Do we think Mr. Trump is going to bigly up his own watch brand by making Swiss watch imports stick 20% on them, or 50% or 60%? Do we see any issue?
The Chinese watch imports. I know in the modding community, people are, concerned that all the parts are suddenly going to get 20% more expensive.
This could be an interesting dilemma, depending on at what point you need to claim. If you're importing something that has a Chinese component, you presumably need to declare it, and presumably that becomes a matter of note and of record.
So J.N. Shapiro watches, which are made down here in Los Angeles, are going to become a much better value for the money in 2025.
What are they? Only like $50,000 or $80,000?
Yeah. Somewhere there, depending on what metal you want. But lovely pieces, though. So I think
right. It's either that or Modit Psycho. That's great.
Good stuff. Right, let's do some hit miss. Maybe it is we're scratching around a bit from watch releases this week, but let's start with this just on the website. If I can get the screen to display, it appears. Oh, there we go. The Zenith Defy Extreme Diver Silver Dial watch. Ripley, you've had a hands-on with this. What's the chat?
Yeah, so we actually saw these originally quite a while ago. This is basically a silvery white dial version of the Defy Extreme Diver, which debuted this year at Watches and Wonders Geneva. When it debuted, it was offered in two colorways. The first was black with a black bezel. The other was blue with a blue bezel. Now you get a black bezel with a silvery white dial. They all have those kind of orange accents along the chapter ring and hands. But it's basically a new dial color for this collection. But I thought it was slightly interesting that when they launched the model, and keep in mind, Zenith doesn't make a lot of dive watches. They do a lot of chronographs, pilots watches. A modern three-handed dive watch was notably absent for a number of years. So it's kind of important for them to do something a bit meaningful with this. Obviously, they have their vintage pieces. But this helps kind of round out the lineup. Black and blue, kind of two flavors of the same color palette there. This gives it a much more kind of modern and stark look. But it's otherwise the same watch. You get a high frequency movement in there. Comes with a bracelet, a rubber strap, and a NATO, which has these lug attachments that, allow it to use a pass-through style. But, it's basically the diver version of the Defy Extreme. All titanium, 600 meters, helium escape valve.
Good. Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Or is it a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Maybe, hit, maybe. David, it's been observed that you've lost your signs. You're slacking off.
Yeah, they are just around there, but I just go with a thumbs up.
The thumbs up. Good stuff. I want this to be a hit. When you try it on, it doesn't, maybe it's my wrist, doesn't quite, there's just something I can't quite put my finger on, it doesn't quite sit. Correct. I think the bracelet possibly tapers too quickly. It just doesn't, it's just, the balance is just slightly off. Matt, how'd you vote?
I voted hit. And when these originally came out, I was more in the maybe camp, but this colorway, I think it's really attractive, and it both looks vintage but modern at the same time. I think it leans modern, and I like that. I appreciate that.
Good, David.
I gave it a hit. I think it's a really cool watch. It's turned up to 12 at this point. I see that Zenit has worked tirelessly on this. I wasn't too convinced about it when it came out either. But now in all titanium, 600 meters, very cool. Jake, who shot this watch, and it's his pictures, beautiful pictures in the article. There's this close up of the dial, and I was like, wow, that's what really pushed me over and into calling this a hit with those, like, I think laser edged dial with those chunky indices and large hands and all the rest of it. What a great looking watch. It's a bit large and tall, so of course you have to have a wrist to rock this one. I wish this was a little bit smaller, or if there was one. And I'm not really a fan of watches with a bezel that looks like a case back. I don't know where that comes from. It totally looks like, it's just, once you see it, or once I see it, I can't unsee that it has a case back on the bezel. So that's one of the but I'm still, it's a hit. I would go with that.
Cool. $11,500, still a hit, Ripley?
Yeah, it's the same price as the other colorways from the collection. I mean, I said it's a hit. I like the collection. I've got little wrists, so it is quite a chunk on mine. It's not exactly a thin watch, but it isn't terribly heavy because it's titanium. But in my opinion, this is the best looking version of them. I got a chance to check one out in person. It's thoroughly modern, and I think more so than the black or blue ones. Just something about that really crisp white silvery dial with the orange accents. Clearly there's some vintage influences in it, but this is a very modern creation, and I think it's a good addition to their catalog. They didn't have a modern diver, they needed one, and I think this hits the brief completely.
Joseph in the chat gave it a maybe, same as yourself, Kevin, I think.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't know where to start. It just leaves me quite cold. That's why I gave it a maybe. It's nothing specifically wrong with it, but overall, it's just not for me. I mean, it's got some amazing parts though. It's titanium, 42 mil thick, so diameter, 15 mil thick. It's a nice piece, and it will suit my wrist very, very well. But for some reason, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't grab me. There's nothing unique about it as such. I mean, the dial's quite interesting, I suppose. It's got the El Primero movement, but it's just it's a bit for me. I just can't put my finger on it.
Right, fair enough. I and Borisic, I think that's the way we pronounce it, also gives it a maybe in the chat. Okay, next up, something from a brand that seems to go through phases of everybody going, oh, we'd forgotten about them. They make some quite good watches, and then kind of disappears. But we've got this from Glasshoot Original, the CQ Chronograph Silver Screen Watch. Chronograph, big date, good brand, big price, 14.5 grand. Any experience of this watch in real life, gents?
Yeah, we saw it in Geneva.
Right. What was your first impressions?
Beautifully made. Not my favorite CQ, but because the proportions are a bit odd about it for some reason. But it's almost Japanese in the way how quiet it is about the quality of its craftsmanship. It's you have to wear one, you have to look at one up close, and you have to really appreciate when something is crafted painstakingly into something that looks so similar to something so much less expensive. So you really have to like look into it. You really have to have an eye and an appreciation for it. Otherwise, you will probably go for something that is a lot more unique and spectacular in the way that it's designed. This is not a generic design, because a CQ is very much its own thing, but somehow you have to just really dig into it and look for those details that help validate its really high price.
Okay, let's give it a vote. Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Or is it a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Hit, maybe hit. Yeah, it's verging on a maybe, but I'm giving it a hit because it is a great watch. The problem is, Glassfoot Original just need to do something to up their game to get into, I don't know, pay for some marketing. We're here, we're waiting for you. Do something just to get yourself more regularly in the conversation, because for whatever reason, they're just not there on a regular basis. It takes the occasional YouTuber to do compare this to a Rolex Submariner, look how much better this is, and all of these categories, but they just don't seem to then push on through to really get themselves going. Matt, how did you vote?
I voted maybe. Yeah, I think the big date is well positioned, which seems difficult with big dates. The case is just a little plain, I suppose, for me. That kind of 62 Moss H case, the bezel and the bezel insert. I don't know. It's just, I love the dial and I love the contrast, but the case leaves me wanting.
Leaves you wanting, David. How did you vote? Did it leave you wanting?
I voted a maybe. It's just not the CQ I would go for, even though the silver screen dial is very cool. You have to look at it in different lights, and then first it looks white, and then it genuinely has this like silvery undertone, like a silver screen basically in the movies or in the cinema, which is again something that Glassfoot Original can do because they have their own dial manufacturer in Germany. It's a proper German watch, which is also cool. If you look at a Lange, for example, that has a Swiss dial, it says made in Germany on it, but it was made in Switzerland. So it's like these little nuances when it comes to German watches that are kind of hilarious.
Good stuff. Ripley, how'd you vote?
I said it's a maybe, bordering on a hit. I don't know if it's exactly the watch I'd pick up for myself, but if you like the look of it, it's really going to deliver in terms of just how it's put together and just the attention to detail. I think the big date's well implemented, nicely decorated movement. Again, it's not the watch you're buying because you just are floored by the look of it. It's a watch you're buying because you appreciate, what's gone into it and like this aesthetic, full well knowing that you could get it for a fraction of the price from a different brand, just not executed to the same way. So it's a maybe. It's not the one I'd buy for myself, but it is objectively a very nice watch.
Jules for the chat's giving it a hit. Borisic's giving it a maybe. Kevin, how did you vote?
I voted a hit, like everybody else. I think it was bordering on maybe, but I went, went higher. Just made it as a hit. I love the vintage look of it. The ceramic bezel, I think it is, looks vintage as well. Just despite, I love the design of it. Glasswater is a very underrated brand, certainly in the UK, and they, as you quite rightly say, they need more marketing to get their name out there. It's wonderfully, beautifully designed. The CQ's maybe a bit too of a mismatch for me.
Yeah, I've just discovered I can display. There you go. There's learn. That's what you call learning on the job, where you discover you can actually display the text. We're going to display stuff from previous reviews, just because I now know how to do it. There we go. Something about US politicians you can all tune into and have a look at on the live stream at aBlogtoWatch weekly live.
What do we think about the logo, the GG logo? I feel like it could be improved. I'm not into
it. I mean, why? Is there a reason it's 2 Gs?
Great question.
Because like or reject.
The story behind it is that one is looking towards the past and the other one is to the future. Think of that what you
Oh, come off it.
yeah.
Marketing. Yeah. Beep.
I mean,
They'd be better saying it was to do with horses, that we used to play polo back in the day, and it's GG's.
it's GG's. Yeah, good game. Yeah, well, I don't know. Go sounds better. Like GO sounds good. Like what are you wearing? I'm wearing a GO. Oh, that's cool. I'm wearing a GG, not so much.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Right, final watch for this week. We're going back a little bit to review Ripley did new release, something also a bit special looking, the Urwerk UR 150 Scorpion. We didn't get a chance to cover this at the time of release because there was so much else going on. Ripley, can you look back into your mind and remember anything about this particular release?
Yeah, so it's based on the UR100 sort of platform, but obviously it's different. Everything about it is different, but it is more of the UR100 ilk than some of the other models there. The whole case is sort of domed in, so the curvature of the crystal goes into this smooth case, and then it sort of hugs your wrist. Where it gets its Scorpion name is that they've come up with a new satellite display, so that big colored minute hand that frames the hours has that really long arc as it tracks around before snapping back, and so that's why it gives the Scorpion tail name. So the rotating trio of satellites move under the minute hand and display the current number through the highlighted tip, red or green. And then that big minute hand moves around in a giant, I think it's like 270-degree arc, which is significantly bigger than other Urwerk models. And so it takes the full hour to get to that green 60, and then it snaps back like a scorpion tail, hence the Scorpion name.
So, yeah, so the movement of this watch it's a wandering hours complication, but the wandering hour appears underneath the hand that points to the minute. So presumably it means that the hour doesn't quite wander in the same way as you're saying. It gets to 60-minute, and then does the wandering hour snap into place?
Yeah, so everything snaps
back
pretty much instantaneously. So as the hand snaps back, all of the like satellite modules on the trio of satellites change over, and so when it hits back to 0, you have the new hour, and at 0 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minute.
Whereas a normal wandering hand complication, you see the satellite hours changing gradually as it goes along the minute marker, if the minute marker is indeed a full rotation.
Yeah, it's not so much wandering as it is like that guy who's lost in traffic and he's sort of wandering, and then there's my turn right there, and then it all happens all at once.
Lost in traffic hours, I like that.
Lost in traffic hours. That's good. Right, I like that. Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Or is it a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. It's a hit from me, hit, and a maybe from David. It's I love a good wandering hours, funny time-telling complication. And this is only $105,000, which sounds crazy to think that anything $105,000 can possibly be worth the money. But this actually strikes me as an entry-level Urwerk for some reason. So, yeah, I love it. It's great. Matt, what did you think?
I thought it was a hit. I think it's so cool. I wish that they had that SR71 Blackbird piece of metal. I was quite critical of what watch they put that in. I didn't think that had anything to do with the Blackbird. I wish they'd done it on this. I just think it's got more Blackbird vibes, and it looks great. It's so cool. I hope to see one in person one day.
Curved crystal's good, and obviously you can buy it either with a red hand or a green hand. I'm not sure of what's 50 of each that are available, or you just pick.
No, 50 of each. You either have the dark version, which is the blacked out case with the red, or you get the standard titanium, which gets you the green.
Okay, I see. David, you're the only one that deviated from the hit.
Yeah, I gave it a maybe just because I'm not a fan of the case shape. These rarely wear nicely on the wrist. It's just not a very nice shape, I think. The movement is amazing. Case back view as well as the complication, the lost in traffic hours. I think it's very cool. Just not the case. That's why. And it's still $100,000. I mean, it's better be entertaining for $105,000.
I've also just had a can't unsee moment. you can tune into the Blog to Watch weekly live show and guess, but I'm not going to say any more about it. But yeah, I can't unsee that image now. So let's move on. Ripley, what's your thoughts? You give it a hit?
I said it's a hit. It isn't my all-time favorite work, but I think it's cool. It'd probably be a lot of fun to have on the wrist. As someone with smaller wrists, the curvature of the case probably has a larger arc of curvature than my wrist, so it might work kind of awkwardly for me, but it doesn't look excessively cumbersome. Again, it's not the work I would buy for myself of all of them, but I have a feeling I would really enjoy this piece, so it's a hit.
Mm-hmm. Right, all I'm seeing now is Omega 12 o'clock dial type symbolism all over this watch, so I need to stop that. Kevin?
I voted this a hit. I love that curved dial, curved case. It's stunning. I think we should put you down for 2 then, Richard, if you could. Yeah.
One in green, one in red,
Yeah,
one each wrist.
absolutely. If it's 105 grand is reasonable, you definitely get 2, get one each. But yeah, it's a stunning piece of design. That case back is amazing. What's not to like? I mean, it's certainly unique. It ticks all my boxes, and yeah, if I had 105 grand, I would certainly consider it over, standard Richard Mille if you can get one, of course. One of the RM10s, I think, of that sort of price. Anyway, yeah, it's stunning. Love it, love it, love it, love it.
Good. Well, that's us from Hit Miss Maybe for the week. For those listening to the podcast, you'll get to miss out on the next bit as we close the show. So tune in to Blog to Watch Weekly Live if you want to take part in any of the post-match chat. So other than that, it's a goodbye from all of us. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.